Hey,
Hey, Mike.
Heather.
How are you?
Good, and yourself?
Well, I got a little eye injury, but I'm here,
Yes.
so that's
Yes,
good.
yo ho ho. I couldn't help but notice you're looking like a pirate today. So would you
Arr.
care to address that to the audience?
Oh, what happened?
Yeah.
Um, Technically, I got in a fight.
Wow. How did the other person make out?
um, they look worse.
Okay. Good, good, good.
So what's new with you?
Okay, let's see. What have I done since the last live stream? So today's August 22nd, and the last one was August 8th, and I have not left town in those 2 weeks. I did climb Mount Charleston on August 16th, which is the highest mountain in southern Nevada, but I have climbed that many times. Yeah, so it's been kind of a quiet 2 weeks for me.
Well, that sounds nice. Sometimes it's nice to have a thing to be quiet and chill and relax and,
Mhm.
that kind of a thing. I bet
Yep.
Mount Charleston was so much cooler than Las Vegas right now. What's the temperature in Mount Charleston?
It's usually at like the bottom of the mountain, like where the Mount Charleston the villages. It's probably about 10 to 15 degrees cooler than Vegas, but way at the top of the mountain, it's significantly cooler, like 20 degrees cooler. For example, like Vegas right now is probably around 105 on the average day, but at the top of the mountain, it was, I needed a windbreaker. It was very cold and windy.
I bet that's such a nice relief from the heat.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and
I
you
mean,
also go swimming too, right?
yeah, fortunately, I have a swimming pool. So, we Las Vegans learn to deal with the summer. And so, yeah. Anyway, I have some trivia today. The topic is cats in honor of Vice President Kamala Harris, who was called a childless cat lady recently. So I thought we would honor her with some cat trivia.
Oh,
And
that's wonderful.
okay, and Mike, you have any trivia?
I got some pirate trivia.
All right. Very good. Um, I have a good pirate joke. I'm gonna have to try to remember it. Um, oh yeah, what is a pirate's favorite letter?
Arr.
No, it's C, as in I love the sea.
Nice.
Okay, why don't we take turns? Okay.
Sounds good. What's the first trivia question for the
Okay.
day?
How about how many toes does a cat have?
So if you know the answer, put it in the chat. And while we are waiting, we'll answer your casino questions. And our first casino question is not a casino question, but it is a question. This is from Ari, who says, Mike and Heather, Michael, sorry. I am a huge fan of both of you. Question: what do you think about Bitcoin today and in the future? I am an old man and have been a big fan of Bitcoin for years.
Well, thank you for the compliment. Let's take a quick check of the Bitcoin value.
While you're checking that, Ari also says, by the way, I still hope to meet both of you in Vegas someday.
That would be nice. So Bitcoin right now is at about 60,500 and change. And I'll be perfectly honest with you. I think Bitcoin is a fad, and I think that there's no inherent value in it. And I think that eventually the value of Bitcoin is going to crash to near zero. When that comp day comes, I don't know. I have been a Bitcoin skeptic for years, and probably since Bitcoin was probably at around 1,000, and it's gone up like crazy since I've been saying that. Nevertheless, I think that it is, how shall we say it? It's a solution in need of a problem. I think that cryptocurrency can be done much better. For example, I recently had someone pay me something by Bitcoin and the transaction fee was over $20. That is just ridiculous, not to mention the environmental damage all these Bitcoin farms cause. So I don't, I think cryptocurrency could be done much better, and I hear there are better coins. It's just that Bitcoin is what everybody knows. So you said that you're an old man, and my advice is don't put much of your wealth in Bitcoin. I would put no more than 5% of it. Okay, so you can criticize me later when you see it go up even more, but that is my opinion.
We kind of thought it crashed. Was it earlier this year or was it last year when the Bitcoin?
Yeah, there have been two big crashes, and after the first crash, it recouped its value eventually and surpassed it. And then there was another big crash at around 80,000, I think. So, but it's been climbing up. It went from 80 to falling about half to about 40, and it has been climbing back up. It still hasn't regained an all-time high, but yeah. But Bitcoin is a roller coaster. It can go up or down 10% on the average day, not a bad day. So I personally sometimes need to pay or accept money by cryptocurrency, so I kind of have to use it a little bit, but no way would I invest in it. So that is about all I have to say about Bitcoin.
I completely agree with you about Bitcoin. 100%. Yeah, definitely. And I won't accept Bitcoin as a payment. I have people we do sponsored articles on my website, and I won't accept Bitcoin sponsored articles because I just don't want to promote it. I don't like it. And this is completely 100% my opinion, not based on anything in particular. So you can feel free to give me shit in the comments as well. I feel like it's a pyramid scheme. So yeah, some people are getting money from it, but that's what happens with pyramid schemes.
I would call it more like a Ponzi scheme. It's more like, as long as people believe in it, the value will keep going up. But eventually, this cannot go on forever. And like most Ponzi schemes, in fact, I would say all of them, eventually there will be a loss of faith and the whole thing will fall like a house of cards.
Yeah. Okay. Next question, or should we see if anyone has an answer to the
trivia? That was a long one. So we have a lot of trivia. So let's see if we got any answers to how many toes does a cat have?
Dal Brixen says 18.
Yes, that is right. They have 10
wow.
and 8 in the back. So good job, Dal Brixen. So Heather, would you like to ask us the audience a pirate question?
Yes. So my first pirate trivia is, can you tell me the year that pirates have existed? So pirates have existed since what year? As long as there has always been good plunder, there have been pirates. So what year would that be?
I'm just going to hazard something in the private chat.
Okay. And you are...
Am I within 100 years?
Yeah, you are actually.
Okay, good. Okay, let's do another gambling question.
Okay. So our next gambling question comes from Paul, who says, can you explain the double cube from your newsletter? I don't understand why the person less likely to win would agree to doubling.
Okay, so I recently wrote a newsletter about the doubling cube, which is often used in backgammon, but it can be used in any game. And the way it works is, let's say I have possession of the cube. It goes back and forth, and let's say that I think that I have a high chance of winning the game, like say 80%, then what I can do is I can say, Heather, let's double the stakes of the bet. And you could either accept that offer to double them, or you forfeit and lose whatever the bet is right now. For example, let's say we started at $10, you doubled me to 20, and then I want to redouble. Your choice could either be accepted, and now the stakes would be $40, or forfeit and lose the 20. So mathematically, if it's very close to the end of the game, sometimes, so let me reread the question. So why would the person less likely to win would ever agree to doubling? Well, let's say that I make a bad double, and let's say my chances of winning are only 60%. So your chances would be 40%. So I would much rather take that double than lose the full amount. For example, let's say that we had a $100 bet, and I offered to double, and so your chances of winning are 40%. So you would have a 40% chance of winning 200, and 60% chance of losing 200. So to make the math pretty simple, your expected loss if you accept the double is only $40. Whereas if you decline it, your expected loss is obviously $100. So I would rather lose $40 than $100. Therefore, that is a situation where you should accept the double. So again, if you're, you have to, again, you have to evaluate your chances of winning before you make that decision. And you also have to consider the power that you can redouble if you do accept it. But I'm not going to get into that because otherwise it'll get too complicated.
Okay. And then if people don't know, how can they get to be a part of your newsletter? How can they see this newsletter that Paul is talking about?
So there's like a box at the bottom of Wizard of Odds at the main page to sign up for the newsletter. Or you can just click, like there's a link that says newsletter. And if you click that, you can read all the old newsletters. And there's hundreds of them. So it's some of my best material. So it's if I may toot my own horn, it's a pretty good newsletter, and I try to come up with an interesting topic every week.
Fantastic. And then let's see if anyone has an answer to the trivia question. Dalbrickson says 2000. 85 Bears says 1780, and we have no other responses. So the actual answer, unfortunately, neither of those people got it. The actual answer is 1353 BC. 1353 BC.
Oh, I was
it has. Oh, but you didn't put AD or BC.
Well, I meant AD.
Okay.
Okay. Well, yeah, I was way off there. My mental image of a pirate was somebody that had a ship of significant size and went to battle with other ships and had cannons and stuff like that. And I have a feeling that the ones in 3000 BC or whatever you said were probably more like somebody in a canoe that raided somebody else's house or something like that.
Okay.
All right, let's move on to a cat question. Okay, what color of cat is usually male, and what color of cat is usually female? So it's a two-parter.
So if you know the answer to that, put that in the chat. Do you like cats, Mike?
I do. We're currently watching my daughter's cat for 4 years, so it's almost like it's become our cat. I personally prefer dogs, but they both have their pros and cons.
Yeah, that's true. So our next gambling question comes from Paul, who says, where outside of Las Vegas do you get better rules, lower minimums, and a better RTP? Other states, other countries?
Oh boy. Hmm. I think just about anywhere in the U.S. like that has big casinos, more or less, have the same kind of rules. I hear in Pennsylvania, blackjack they have to stand on a soft 17, which is really good. Um, Whoops, I
Ooh,
can't. But yeah, I kind of think there are certain norms in the industry about rules and what they set slot machines to. So I think if you take any state like New Mexico, Washington, California that has big casinos, they're all going to have similar odds as what you see in Las Vegas.
okay. And then our next question is also from Paul. And Paul says, uh, are there any land-based casinos that accept Venmo? I prefer this over MoneyWire or Marker.
Not that I know of, but I haven't really, neither have I really looked into it.
Okay, since both of those were quick, we'll do one more and then we'll see if anyone has an answer to the trivia. Has pachinko style machines ever been popular in Las Vegas?
I have never seen one here.
Me neither. They would be fun to have though. I would love to see that.
Yeah, I know that they're huge as a gambling device in Japan, but I have never seen one anywhere, used for gambling.
Yeah. So a math test says a tabby is male.
Yes, an orange tabby is indeed male, but not
Cool.
necessarily a gray tabby. But so I'll give you half credit for that, since you didn't specify an orange tabby.
Okay. So our next trivia question
We're still looking
is
for which kind of cat is usually female, or should I say always?
which kind?
So there's another breed or color of cat that is like 99.99% of the time female. Did anyone chime in on that?
No, I didn't see anything in the comments.
Okay, the answer to that one is a calico.
Oh, okay.
Yep,
Cool.
show me a calico and I will show you a female cat. So, Heather, regale us with another pirate trivia question.
Blackbeard intimidated prisoners by weaving what into his beard and setting it on fire?
I just simply don't know, but hopefully the audience will know more about that than me.
If you know, put it in the chat. And while we are waiting, our next question comes from Paul, who says, I know you despise side bets, but some are way better than slots. Is that right? Do you have
Oh,
any examples?
absolutely. For example, the player dragon in Baccarat has a house advantage of, I believe, 2.6%, which is not bad and way better than slot machines. And just off the top of my head, there are others that have a house advantage under 10%. Um, so, but yeah, most of them are worse than slots, but I kind of hate to compare them. Um, and, and I tend to think slots are worse just because the rate of play is so much faster. So, yeah. So there's my answer to that one.
Okay. One other question. Well, our next question is for me, but please feel free to chime in. Who would you feel would win in a fight between a Borg and the Daleks?
Are those
No?
Star Trek people?
Borg is Star Trek, but the Daleks are from oh god, I love it when my mind does that. The Doctor Who.
That one's all yours, Heather.
Borg would definitely win. Borg would assimilate the Daleks so fast. That's so easy.
Okay.
Our next question comes from Steven, who says, with the steady loss in popularity of table games in general, do you think we will ever see another new carnival game or a non-blackjack variant game become a staple of casinos?
I think so. I think that um, any game has a certain lifespan, and I think that we're ready for something new. I think Ultimate Texas Hold'em has been riding a wave for a long time, and we're overdue for another game to really hit it big. And new games are still coming out. For example, there's one at the Strat right now called Match 52, and there's another field trial game called Double. What was it called? I should know this because I did the math for it. Double Up Blackjack um, at the New York. So and yeah, so um, even though there's not as much excitement for new table games because if one takes off, anybody can just copy it now. So there's not as much incentive to invent. Nevertheless, some companies are still trying. And yeah, so that's my answer to that one.
And there are ways people patent, whether it's patenting the design, patenting custom equipment, that type of a thing. So they are trying to get around those patent problems. I
Right.
think our last one was High Card Flush, the one that took off.
High Card Flush has not reached Ultimate Texas Hold'em kind of placements. It has done well, but it hasn't been like an enormous success. But yeah, the general rule is that you cannot invent just a way of playing cards because there's no physical thing there that's new. But you can't. But if there is some new physical device, that is pertinent to the game, you might be able to get that patented. So, enough about that topic.
Okay. Answer to trivia. So Dalbrickson says burning incense. I'm blaming it on the eye. And that is all I see. And I've heard of pirates. I've heard of the incense thing, but the answer to this trivia question is he weaved hemp into his beard so that way he could set it on fire.
I did not know that. Okay, let's have another cat question.
Love it.
What is the largest breed of household cat?
So if you know the answer, put that in the chat. And our next gambling question comes from, let's see here. So Joshua says, while playing the Pai Gow tiles on your site, I would get a warning about my hand not set the house way. Then click the house way and it selects the same tiles. Are you aware of this?
I am not. Yeah, that has not happened to me, but neither have I played it maybe as much as you. So, yeah, I will give that a try. I hope this doesn't happen because the guy who made it has been difficult to communicate with me, and if there's an error with that, it's going to be very hard to get it fixed. But thank you for bringing that to my attention.
Next is from Jafar, who says, my question was deleted. If your question was deleted, go ahead and try submitting it again. Sometimes YouTube can be picky about that. So feel free to try again. Our next one is from Coffee Break, who says, thank you so much for doing this. Question, if I want to bet against the roller and lay a number instead of place it, would the minimum amount on a $15 table need to be 30, 45, and 18?
I think that it would. I've never been asked that before, and it's a good question, but I believe, yeah, the next time I'm at a craps table, I'm going to ask that. But my guess is that the minimum on a lay bet would apply to how much you can win if you win. So, like if you were to lay the 4, you would have to bet $30. But I could be wrong on that one. If anyone in the peanut gallery knows this answer for sure, let me know. And perhaps, I'm sorry, Heather, maybe you know.
I don't want to say the wrong answer. I would have to look up that information.
Okay. Yeah. Someone feel free to ask me this on the next live stream, and hopefully I will have a more confident answer for you.
Okay. Should we see if anyone has an answer to the trivia?
Yes.
Okay. Is it Maine Coon? Maine Coon?
He means Maine Coon, and yes, it is indeed a Maine Coon. So there is an E in Maine and a space after that, but I won't deduct you for the bad spelling. So good job there. There we go. That's how to spell it.
Okay.
Regale us with another pirate question.
So next is can you tell me what is on a traditional flag for a pirate ship? This one should be super easy.
Yeah.
You were right.
Easy one.
Yeah, that is an easy one.
All right, hit me with
Okay. So while we're waiting for you guys to put a answer to that trivia question in there, our next gambling question comes from Cantil, who says, what casino has the fastest video poker machines? I want to see if my brother can beat Dr. Antonius Single and has a spread record. He played at the M Resort. Any suggestions?
I think that the M is going to be is set as fast as they get. So Dr. Antonius, who I know, specifically wanted to play there, and you can see from his video that the machine just is. It gives you the cards instantly. It seems like. So, and for those who don't know what the question refers to, is I have YouTube videos of who I allege and bequeath the title of the world's fastest video poker player. And the current record for a single machine is by this guy who goes by Dr. Antonius. And I think that his speed was something like 2,300 hands per hour, if I remember correctly, which is ridiculous. Seems like he can play faster than I could just hit buttons at random. It was really amazing. But if you do want to seriously challenge that, let me know, and I would be happy to come with cameras to document it and give you proper credit if you are successful.
Do you know what the fastest is right now? What time they would have to beat?
It around 2,300. I don't remember off the top of my head, but if you search my YouTube channel, you can search it by my name, or The Odds Must Be Crazy. And there are several videos on the fastest video poker player because the record was beaten twice. But look for the one by Dr. Antonius.
Okay. Next up is from Lil Joe, who says, Mike, which of your basic strategies is stronger, blackjack or ultimate Texas Hold'em? I'm assuming UTX.
If you mean which is closer to optimal play, it's I would say it's blackjack. And for there, in a 6-deck game, basic strategy is not going to give you a computer perfect decision every time. For example, 16 against a 10 is extremely borderline. And if your 16 was composed of a 5, 5, and 6, the composition dependent strategy would tell you to stand on that, because those 5s and 6s are good for you, and because it would bump up your hand to a 20 or a 21. And you've already removed 3 of those good cards yourself. But the basic strategy doesn't consider that. Nevertheless, the difference between basic strategy and optimal composition dependent strategy in 6 decks is really, really small, like 0.01%. And the difference in Ultimate Texas Hold'em, I hate to throw out a number, but I know it's more than that. So there you go. The answer is the blackjack basic strategy is stronger.
Awesome. And forgive me if I read your question wrong because I do have trouble seeing at the moment. So let's see if anyone has an answer to the trivia question. And Dow Brixton says skull and bones, crossbones, and that is correct.
All right. Next,
So,
next cat question is, what is the breed of cat called that has no tail?
so if you know that answer, put it in the chat. And our next question comes from Jimmy, who says, does composition dependent strategy work for 6-deck blackjack?
Yeah, this is it can work for any number. And I just explained a perfect example, like of a 5, 5, and 6 against a 10. And what I just said is true for 1, 2, 6, 8 decks. However, the benefit of using composition dependent strategy becomes smaller as the number of decks decrease. But I want to emphasize again that the benefit of it is really quite small, and most of it comes from how to handle those 16 against 10 plays. A good rule of thumb for 16 against 10 is if you have a 4 or a 5 in your hand, then stand.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Yeah, no, I was right. A 4 or a 5. Okay.
Awesome. Okay, next one is from Mads, who says, do you like Yahtzee and could it be played in a casino? I'm wondering how good of a game it would be.
We love Yahtzee. This has been discussed on old shows, but Heather and I play against each other most evenings, and we play online. And could it be played in casinos? Once in a while, somebody bounces the idea of making a Yahtzee-based casino game, and I always try to talk them out of it. But because I think just the hands per hour would be too slow. But I could see something where a player goes just one at a time and rolls the 3 dice and wins a certain amount according to his final hand. But again, only one player could play at a time, and rolling the dice 3 times, it would be really slow, and it might be a fun game, but it just would not be very profitable for casinos. So yeah, that is my opinion about that one.
When we play Yahtzee, I think you win most of the time.
I think that if we looked at the statistics, I think I win about 52% of the time.
See, you win most of the time.
But it's just like a narrow margin.
Okay, let's see if anyone has an answer to the trivia question. Is it a Manx?
It is. Good job, Dal Brixton. It is a Manx cat. So Heather, it is your turn.
Awesome. Good job, Dal Brixton. My question is, let's see here. Pirates don't usually make people walk the plank. What do they do instead? And there's 2 options, so you have 2 chances to get it right.
Yeah, I frankly don't know. I thought that walking the plank was the standard punishment, but yeah. Audience, I hope you have something for that one. Meanwhile, hit me up with another question from the peanut gallery.
Sounds good. Our next question comes from, let's see, Del Brixton, who says, does Tiger count since you are in Vegas?
Do you understand the question, Heather?
I was hoping you did.
I'm sorry, Dal Brixton, I don't understand what you're asking, so maybe you can rephrase it. Meanwhile, Heather, give me another question.
Mike says, is there any single zero roulette games in Las Vegas?
Oh, sure. But they're all in the high limit rooms. And there's even French roulette, where if you make an even money bet and the ball lands in zero, you get half back. But there are not many wheels of those, and if you do see them, it's probably going to be like at a $500 minimum. But yeah, absolutely, there are single zero wheels, but I would expect probably $100 minimum on those.
And the rule that you just said is la patage, but also too if they have a la patage rule, it brings the house edge down to 1.35%. But some casinos, what they'll do is they'll add an in prison rule.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll say you have to keep your bet on that even money bet for 2 spins, 3 spins. They'll keep it imprisoned, and then that brings the house edge back up to 5.26%.
Okay, I have to say something here. Is I have heard about this imprisonment rule. I've mentioned in lots of books, but I have never once seen a casino actually do this. Maybe
No?
I think that in Monte Carlo they used to do this, but I don't think any Vegas casino has done this since I started to take an interest in gambling in the mid 80s. So I think it's something more of lore than something that's actually done.
Okay. And I was wrong. It's not it brings it up to 2.7%, not 5.36%.
Well, the effect of the imprisonment and the halfback rule are practically the same. Either way, it cuts down the house advantage.
Yeah. Good point. One more question?
Yep.
In my experience, the minimum bet in craps is also the minimum amount to win. So if minimum bet is $15 and the bet payout is 1 to 2, you would have to bet 30 to win 15.
Okay, thanks, Joshua. And this confirms what I speculated before. So it's good to have that confirmed.
So
go ahead.
You ready for the trivia answer?
Yes.
Okay. So Dalbrixen got it. It is keel hauling. So that is one of the answers. And the other answers, they would just throw them overboard. There would be no plank. They would just throw them overboard.
So forgive my ignorance, but what's keel hauling?
I don't know.
Okay. Dalbrixen, maybe you can expand on that in the comments. But I believe it is my turn for a question. So what is the term used for the cat used to explain a principle in quantum mechanics?
So if you know the answer to that, put that in the chat. I actually think I know the answer. Do you mind if I put that in the private chat?
Sure.
Cool. And I probably spelled it wrong.
Yes. And you spelled it right.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yes.
While we are waiting for you guys to put the trivia answer in there, if you have any casino questions you would like to ask Mike, please put that in the live chat and we will answer them in the order that it is received. I have a quick question. Mm-hmm. What trend has been, what changes and trends have you seen since COVID-19 as far as casinos, gambling, that type of a thing?
I've talked about this before, but there's definitely much more space devoted to slots. And I would say that table minimums have gone up significantly. And there's hardly any buffets left. I think only about half a dozen in Vegas. So yeah, that's kind of my quick answer. I think that during COVID, the casinos had a lot of time to think about how they were doing business. And it's easy to see that after you consider all the expenses, that a square footage devoted to slots just makes more money than table games. However, you can't just do it 100%. There's some optimal balance. But, we've seen a lot of Vegas casinos, so the smaller ones like the Casino Royale go slots only. And the bigger ones like the Bellagio, I would say before COVID, the space divide was probably like 60-40 in favor of slots, and now it's more like 70-30.
Okay. And I've noticed everything is going up in prices, including parking. So I thought it was insane when they wanted to charge $20 for parking. And now I hear that they want to charge $50 for parking.
I haven't seen 50, but yeah, they charge now for parking at the Strat. I mean,
That
that,
sucks.
in my opinion, is not a pay for parking worthy casino. And yeah, I don't know, but I tend to think that it hurts them with locals like me. I mean, I go to the Strip so seldomly now, and it is in no small part due to having to pay for parking. Um, now with tourists, what can you do? Um, they pretty much have to pay because they're here. But us locals don't. If I'm borderline about seeing a show on the Strip, paying for parking is definitely going to sway my decision against going.
I would say it would be easier for tourists because besides walking, you could always do the monorail.
But if a tourist, I mean, I would advise someone who's visiting Vegas to not rent a car. You don't
Yeah,
really
no.
need it if you're just going to go to your hotel and stay there and then go back to the airport. I would just get an Uber or a cab. But if you do want to drive around a lot, then um, yeah, then you pretty much have to get a rental car, and then you're pretty much going to have to pay for parking wherever your hotel is.
I thought they were going to make the monorail connect to the airport.
I, I think that was the original plan. I speculate the monorail isn't profitable enough to do that
Hmm.
extension, but I really don't know for sure.
Okay. Let's see if anybody has an answer to the trivia question. And is it Schrodinger's cat?
Yes, it is. It is indeed Schrodinger's cat. Um, so it is used as kind of an analogy. I hope I'm correct here in that there have been experiments done that I think make it seem like a photon can appear in two places at the same time. And I think that somebody from Norway kind of said this doesn't seem ridiculous and compared it to a cat being dead and alive at the same time, something like that. I don't remember the details. Anyway, Heather, it is your turn. Regale us with a pirate question, please.
Okay, sounds good. Can you tell me the name of the wealthiest pirate ever recorded in history? This person was known as the Robin Hood of the Sea.
Hmm. Yeah, I frankly don't know. That's a good question.
So
Meanwhile,
while we're yes,
yes, give me again.
definitely. So our next one is from Lil Joe, who says in Tampa a few weeks ago, crazy. One of the busiest tables was a war table. Off the top of your head, the house advantage for that game.
I think it's around 2.7. And it's kind of easy to calculate because so the probability of a tie is about 7.7%. And basically, you lose half on a tie. So that cuts it down to 3.9. But I know there's some rules that cut the player's way. So yeah, I guess it's around 3%. But my website will tell you for sure.
Okay. Our next question comes from Mike, who says, do advantage gamblers play 9-6 job and use casino comps free play to make expected return over 100%?
Oh, absolutely. I used to do that. And by the way, JOB is an acronym for Jacks Are Better, which has a
Oh,
return of 99.54%. That game is now really difficult to find anymore, but players still do it with other forms of video poker like 8-5 bonus poker, which is at 99.2. And yeah, if the casino is generous enough with the mail, that can be a good play. It used to be a really good thing. Like I used to get really good mail from the Palms, for example, by running through money on NSU deuces. But yeah, video poker has really dried up lately. So yeah, sadly, it's not as effective as it used to be.
Okay. And then do you want to do another question or see if anyone has an answer to the trivia?
Do another question.
Okay. I lived in Pennsylvania for blackjack. In addition to dealer stay on 17, we also had surrender. Oh, it's more of a statement, 0.35 house edge.
All right, good for Pennsylvania. Those are great rules, and I'm sure that the casinos are fighting to change them. In fact, I have heard they're doing that, but I hope that they don't, as those rules are about as good as it gets in blackjack.
Yeah. I asked you a question in the private chat real quick.
Oh, yeah, I'll address that. Or do you
Okay,
ask me directly?
I'll ask.
Okay.
So Source Keen says, I listened to Gambling with an Edge, and they talked about a question about the blackjack ball regarding how to play a blackjack hand that stumped almost all of the participants. What are your thoughts on this?
Okay. I will say that I was finally invited back to the blackjack ball, which was that was on August. That was on August 10th. I should have mentioned that earlier in the show. So I was happy to be invited back to that. I believe that 2012 was the last time I had went before, and I did not get very far with the fastest card counter nor the best blackjack player competition. Nevertheless, that's not a major reason I go. I go to see a lot of friends, and I'm not allowed to say where they host it now, but a lot of big names were there. It's always very well done. So I do know that in the competition for the best blackjack player, they showed 4 situations and asked, how do you play it under basic strategy, assuming 6 deck dealer hits a soft 17 rule. I wasn't aware that there was one that stumped most of the audience. So yeah, sadly, I did not. It's not like they took a show of hands about how many people got each one right or wrong. That was a single elimination thing, and I think by the time they got to that question, most players were probably out of it already. So sorry, I don't have a better answer to that one.
Okay. Do they still do that trivia question contest at the blackjack ball?
It was they've changed it a little bit where they're with the last when I was there, back over 10 years ago, there were a lot more silly questions, but this time it was all strictly blackjack related, and yeah, so I forgot what the question was, but yeah, it's the way it works is that there were about 10 questions, and it was all single elimination. And first, they said the questions, and you wrote them down on a card. And I don't think anybody got them all right. But when it got to like 7 left, there were I don't know, like let's say there were 10 people left. And then they had to narrow that down to, let's say, 5. And what they did was they asked the question, name a Las Vegas casino that has at least 2,000 hotel rooms. And and you could not repeat answers. And as people gave ones that were wrong or they repeated, they got eliminated. So that narrowed the field. And then the person, I think I'm allowed to say this, there was a separate competition for the fastest card counter. And John Chang, whom I know and was the real leader of the MIT Blackjack team, won that. And that advanced him. It got him a bye into the best blackjack player contest, which and I believe I'm allowed to say this, which he won. So congratulations to John Chang for winning both competitions.
Fantastic. Shall we see who has an answer to the trivia question since we're talking about trivia?
Yes.
Okay, Dalbrickson says Captain Kidd, and Source says Henry Roberts. Neither of those are correct. The answer to the question was the wealthiest pirate in recorded history was Black Sam Bellamy, who was known as the Robin Hood of the sea.
I never even heard of him, so that's good to know. Can you write down his name in the chat? I think I will Google him after the show.
Sounds good. Cat question?
Yes. Okay, which fictional cat was the first to be honored with a balloon in the Macy's Thanksgiving parade?
Okay. So if you know the answer to that, put that in the chat. I put that name in the private chat for you, and then I have a answer to this. I'm probably wrong because it's probably the second one. Okay. Is that the answer?
Nope.
Oh, wow. I'm surprised. Okay. So if you guys know the answer to that, put that in the chat. And while we're waiting, our next question comes from Stuart, nope, not Stuart, Joshua, who says, why are some video poker games 25 credits as max instead of 5? I was happy to 525-cent machines, but found out that it takes 25 credits to get max pay table.
I have not seen that, and I don't like it either. I'd be curious to know where you find these games. But as to why, I would say that the game makers think that it's a way to make you bet more, but that's at the cost of chasing players like you away. So yeah, sorry, I can't do better with that one, as I have not seen such a game. There are lots of video poker games here where you can bet a lot of coins, but usually you go up to that max coin incentive with just 5 coins, and from there it goes up by 800 coins for every additional coin that you bet.
Okay. If you guys have any gambling questions, please put them in the chat. We have 8 more minutes before the end of this video live stream. So speak now or forever hold your peace. My question to you is, how do you beat the Heat in Las Vegas?
Well, we talked about this earlier, but it helps if you have a swimming pool, and I probably take about 5 swims a day, and they're just quick ones. And you can see I have water here. I'm a big believer in staying well hydrated. And frankly, between about 9 a.m. and 7 p.m., you just can't go outside and exercise. It is just too hot. So I try to get up at like 5 in the morning and do my exercises, which is I try to do 3 laps, each lap being 1.5 miles, 3 laps on my unicycle, 3 laps running, and then I will either do 3 laps on my rollerblades or I will do some weightlifting. So yeah, so I try to get in that outdoor exercise. I try to finish that before 7 a.m.
How much do you lift What? How much do you lift?
Well, I just have some dumbbells, and it's 30 pounds, so I just do curls and triceps and stuff like that. If I had a bench, of course, I would be impressing you with a different number, but and frankly, I only recently started to get into that.
Okay, cool.
Okay. Should we
next
do another
question?
Okay.
Yeah. Do you want to?
Let's see what the audience has for the first cat to be honored with a balloon in the Macy's parade.
JC says Garfield.
Nope.
How about Felix?
Yes, it is. Good job.
Woo.
Joshua, it is Felix the cat. Heather, are you old enough to know who Felix the cat is?
I do know who Felix is.
How would you describe Felix?
Black and white.
And can you sing the Felix song?
No. I remember he carried a bag.
He carried it.
I
And what was in his bag?
wasn't it everything? It's like a magic bag.
Yes, it was his bag of tricks, and it held basically everything. You know, he could pull an elephant out of that bag. Do you want to hear the theme song?
Yes, I'd love to.
Felix the cat, the wonderful, wonderful cat. Whenever he gets in a fix, he reaches into his bag of tricks. Felix the cat, the wonderful, wonderful cat. You'll laugh so hard your sides will ache, your heart will go pit-a-pat. Oh, Felix, the wonderful cat.
That is fantastic.
It was terrible, but thank you. At least and trust me, I did not rehearse that. I just remember stuff like this.
Oh, I love it.
Thank you.
Yeah, I remember watching like Felix cartoons and movies. It was always funny. It was a comedy.
Do you remember the enemy of Felix the cat?
Nope.
It was the professor. So it was this short man with a big white mustache, and he was very smart. And I take it you're not going to know the name of his henchman, which was a big. I guess he was human too. His name was Rock Bottom, and I know that Felix's bag had kind of an argyle pattern, and that is about all I can say.
Awesome. That was
Okay.
a fun trivia question. I
Okay.
like that.
Thank you. Okay, it's your turn for a pirate question. Oh wait, we're running out of time. Okay, but I think
Yeah.
we can do another pirate question.
I am all out of pirate questions. Want to do another cat one?
Okay. What special talent did the Cheshire Cat have in Alice in Wonderland?
So if you know that answer, put it in the chat. If you have a casino question, answer it or ask it now or forever hold your peace. Our next gambling question comes from Jimmy, who says, would a 5-4 side count for 16 versus 10 be worth it?
No, I would not fuss with that. If you want to do a simple count in blackjack, I would do my ace 5 count, which I write about on my website, and that will so all you have to do is give up fives as +1, aces as -1, and you don't need to do a true count conversion. And I think that will cut down the house advantage by about 0.5%. So it's easy to use, and you'll get way more benefit with that 0.5% reduction in house edge than the 16 versus a 10 thing. However, but you will have to vary your bet with the ace 5 count. So it does introduce more volatility. Nevertheless, yeah, I would not fuss with that. So that's my answer to that one. And,
Okay.
Yeah, do we have an answer on the Cheshire Cat? What was his special ability?
Jack Ace says invisible.
And he is right. The Cheshire Cat could indeed turn invisible, although you could still see his mouth. It may have been only when he smiled, but yeah. Okay, so let's call it good on that. And so the next live stream, I have some travel plans coming up. So I suggest for the next live stream, October the 3rd.
Sounds good. I hope you have fun.
Thank you. And reminder to the audience, the Global Gaming Expo is October 7th to 10th. I always go to that. It's the biggest gaming show in the world here in Las Vegas. And you can get a free expo pass through the John Huxley website. Yep. Heather, you have anything else you would like to add?
That's it.
Okay. Well, thank you, Heather. And thank you, audience, for all your questions and comments and playing along with the trivia.
And
Mhm.
we'll see you. Oh, I just have to point this out real quick.
Mhm.
Angela, we'll see you at G2E.
Oh, hi, Angela. Thanks for coming to our live stream. It's great to see you. So, for those of you who don't know, Angela plays the role of my student in many of my gambling videos. So, if she's going to see me, it makes sense that you could see her too if you are one of Angela's many fans, as I am.
I am too.
Yep.
Definitely.
Angela is the best. Not counting you,
She is
Heather.
so awesome.
Okay.
No, I completely agree. Angela even does some videos for our channel and everything. I love Angela.
Yeah, I
So
don't want to
freaking
rank
cool.
the two of you, but you two are way at the top of the list of my favorite.
Aw, thank you.
Okay.
Well, I'll
Okay.
see you October.
Okay. Okay.
Sounds
Bye,
good.
everybody.
Bye.